On too.
Cool bean. I'm kind of excited.
Alright, so you want to do the intro?
Yeah, welcome, it's your boy George Beatty here. Welcome to the Middlemen Podcast. Me and your boy Ian Washer. You want to say hi, Ian?
What's up, everybody? Or you? What's up, you? That's what I was told to say.
Yep. What's up with it? We're the Middlemen Podcast. We're excited to have you on. It's George Beatty and motherfucking Ian Walsh. And we're just here to keep it real, man. How's your day going, dude?
It's good, dude. We had pretty good morning. This office can get crazy sometimes, and apparently Bloomberg TV was here. So I'm just saying that so it sounds important. I had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I talked to Bloomberg himself. He asked me when the next time I'm going to make a Chinese food video was, and I told him soon. He said he really likes the videos, and
Dude, you have got to hold on to the rights of those. Yeah. If he comes in, he's going to lowball you.
Yeah, you're right.
You got to wait for the big show. I'm thinking like Bravo.
I do love lowballing people, I have to say. That's like probably one of my favorite activities. I appreciate a good lowball as well.
I do too. People say they get mad at people. I'm like, no, I respect that. Because I know that person. I like to see how uncomfortable they are at that moment. Because if they're not uncomfortable, it's a professional.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? I'm like, he's not uncomfortable. He's a professional. He's just trying to take my legs out from under me without blinking.
This motherfucker just literally tried to take food out of my family's mouth without
no
remorse whatsoever. Yeah, so we're both middlemen, right? So this is the inaugural. Is that the right word?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Episode, right? So I'm a real estate wholesaler. So what that means is I put property under contract with the seller, and then I sell the contract to a buyer. So basically, middleman and investment deal. And my boy Ian here does a similar thing with money, which I'll let him tell you.
Yeah, so I guess I'm a wholesaler of money. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a wholesaler of money, also known as a hard money banker, a hard money lender. So I take money and I move it from one person to the next, and then create more money out of that. So that's we're middlemen. And
is that a Ponzi scheme?
I don't know.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, it is for everybody listening.
That's the same as a Ponzi scheme.
That's the fancy way of placing it onto it. Yeah. So, but I thought, everybody should know, or you should know, people should know, that we had to figure out how to name this freaking podcast. And we had some really good names out there. We held a thing on Facebook and said respond. What were some of the good ones that you saw on there?
Raw Dog Real Estate.
Oh,
that was a good one.
Almost made it.
There was one that said, it was like bareback, what was it?
I don't know. If we were billionaires, I'd say bareback billionaires, but that would have been awesome.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do a podcast if I was already a billionaire, honestly. I wouldn't want people it's like once you get to that level, people can try to ruin you or blackmail you, and I don't know about you, man, but I like to be able to say whatever I feel without having to
Right. It's a good excuse for not being a billionaire. I'm like that.
I'll get there by the time I'm 40. That's like my goal.
All right.
45.
So we'll do podcasts until you're 40?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And then I'll jump in one of those. So I was listening to someone else's podcast, I think it was Joe Rogan, and they were talking about Peter Thiel, how he injects the blood of young people.
Oh, young boy blood. Yeah.
And it reverses aging better than anything else.
So that was also on, I think, Rhonda Patrick on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Legitimately, they were injecting younger mice blood into other mice, and it was all the cognitive functions and everything were returning to the from an aged mouse to a young mouse by replacing the blood of the young mouse and the old mouse.
Yes, that's why I'm hiring younger people to work for me so that I can siphon their blood off later.
So there's something all about being a vampire. I'm kind of in.
I'm with that life.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get the fangs. I'm gonna go for it. Could get weird. Yeah, but I did hear about Peter Thiel.
So that's good marketing for Peter Thiel. I don't know. Is it off?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we'll turn it back on. I think it's still rolling. Yo, Bobby Wise, man. I don't know. We can probably edit that out. Yo, shout out to the young bull, Robert Wiseman, who's not really a young bull, but dude does steady wear checkered Vans nonstop. He's the producer, and he made all this stuff happen. So,
whoa. I wouldn't even have asked for the sales call if I knew you wore checkered Vans. I would have just said done.
Yeah.
You kidding?
Yeah, Robert's got style, bro.
Walking mobile, man. That's what it is. Forget the sale.
Fuck yeah. So what do you got on your wall?
All right. What are some things we could talk about? So we talked about Bloomberg. That was cool. Suggested names was cool. At some point, if we get this heated up, I'd like you to do a freestyle in the name of Eminem's recent freestyle.
Bro, I can't rap, but I can read memes off of the internet that were all fake responses from Trump, which were pretty funny.
Oh, what were some of those? So everybody probably watched the whole world. So Eminem's rap.
I didn't see it, dude.
I'm gonna be honest. I watched 30 seconds and turned it off, but I'm like want to pretend I'm in with it. You know, like think I'm a millennial. I think I am a millennial.
I mean, how old are you, dude?
35. That's millennial-ish, right? No.
I mean, no. You're close. What year were you born?
82.
Yeah, I was born in '89. I count as a millennial. All right, let's check out this tweet real quick from our boy DJ Trump. This is a fake tweet. Please don't.
Or maybe it's not.
Come to us. So D Trump was like, "Your rhymes are weak and your flow is weird. It took you 44 years to barely grow a beard. Just admit that you're jealous and acting like a big baby because everyone knows I'm the new Slim Shady," which I thought was pretty fire, right?
Wow, Trump's got it, man.
Yeah, dude.
That's
That dude
pretty
spits
good.
That game. I watched a documentary last night about him winning the election.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
it
On
was-
Netflix or what?
I think it was either Netflix or Amazon Prime.
Was it pretty legit?
From Showtime. Yeah, I mean, you know, like these cats were basically filming everything about it already, and no one was expecting him to win, as you remember. And then it was basically just like, kind of just making fun of everybody being wrong, which was funny, and then like observing the absolute turmoil that was going on in the Republican Party around the time that he was winning. Like the entire conversation, typically with an election, is like, let's elect so and so we have the best chance of winning. But then, like the whole conversation with a lot of the near front runners in the Republican Party shifted entirely. Instead of to like self-preservation, it switched to let's try to bring down Trump. Which, you know, if you know anything about marketing, like guerrilla marketing, right? Like that drives people to you, right?
Mhm.
So like the act of somebody being against you drives people to you. Like people love hearing that story and they like hate the establishment. So like sort of what happened towards the end is like Kasich, however you say that guy's name, in the primaries, the Republican primaries was like all about Ohio, and then Rubio was like all about Florida. Basically what they were trying to do is instead of like having one person win both of those, they were just trying to beat Donald Trump individually in those states, even though they knew Rubio wasn't going to win. And even though they knew Kasich wasn't going to win, just to try and stop him. But then Ted Cruz kind of told all them cats to go fuck themselves too, and tried to win on his own against them. So there was this other inter-party turmoil, which has been going on, as you know, people know that watch politics for like probably 10 or 15 years anyway. Plus, you had like the Donald Trump factor, people like trying to get elected, and then that combined with the Ted Cruz versus the rest of the establishment issue kind of like made this perfect storm where Trump won the primary, and as we all know, he like ended up winning the general election because I guess people really hate Hillary Clinton. That's the story for him.
It was the only way. I mean, the bottom line is fuck politics.
Yeah.
That's what tells me. I think everybody. I don't know how people aren't sick of it at this point, right?
They are, and that's why Trump won, right? And that's why Bernie Sanders was doing.
That's true. We were kind of vomiting the whole thing to begin with.
If you really look at it, like in terms of human beings, like not quote unquote super delegates or power players voting, like non-establishment candidates won both parties. Like the Democrats just happened to have jerry-rigged their system better than the Republicans did to get their establishment candidate elected, or try to. But in general, like the American populace is fed up with like the general status quo.
The way politics work, and that was our answer, and that's the answer we got. So now what's going to happen is the same thing that happens when. So, like, politics to me, like, nothing ever gets done, right, in 4 years. So everybody gets swayed one way. Do you know what politics are to me? I always think about this. The same thing as the NFL. The whole reason it was created was a distraction to reality in life. I think politics for people, I don't think the people that are actually in office are actually doing anything significant. I think there's other people that actually do it, whether it's corporations or big people we don't even know about. But, like, I think it's just a distraction to keep us busy, keep our minds busy.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, man, like, the system's kind of set up almost to protect people like you and me. I mean, really, if we're being honest about it, or people that are, like, a couple steps above you and me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with that, personally, now. Like, once upon a time, I wasn't, back when I was a terrible human being.
But now that I'm a good human being, I deserve to be protected.
Yeah, but the flip side of that, like you're talking about people that are billionaires and like real true captains of industry. Like we're small fries compared to a lot of them cats. Like, but the flip side, like they are into their own self-preservation within that same system because like senators and congressmen and whatever, they have a lot of power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of whether they have like what you and me might consider to be real power, like them, those
perceived power, they have for sure.
They have. But like in their lives, like they get fame, they get a pension, like they get a lot of perks for having. Like, I'd like to have that job. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be pretty cool. That's just me.
I don't know.
Camera's still rolling, even though it's
I
out,
believe
by the
you.
way. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I get politics to me just get. I don't like it. But you're right. The system is set up for preservation, for sure, for preservation of wealth. But it makes sense, like, because the wealth is what ends up controlling it to begin with. And if you're going to acquire the wealth and keep the wealth for generations, you preserve it. So whether you have to shift your money into a new, what was that saying? I think it was on Game of Thrones, another Game of Thrones reference. But people will protect their wealth at great cost. Like the wealthy people protect their wealth at great cost. They're never on the wrong side of a deal, but that's why they have their money.
Right.
So politics. So politics are slated for that.
Protect your neck, just like the Wu-Tang Clan says. You know what I'm saying?
They didn't get there. They didn't get there by being dumb about it. You know what I mean?
True.
So I don't know.
Well, I mean, Old Dirty Bastard was a little dumb. He did drive an overdose, but are we talking about Wu-Tang Clan or rich people? Same.
That's the same thing at this point, isn't it? And Wu-Tang has
I do
equal
love
power to
Wu-Tang
anybody in office.
I do love the Wu-Tang Clan. They're coming out with a new album.
Everybody loves the Wu-Tang Clan. What's somebody just did something. Was it Method Man or who did something?
They just came out with a new single the other day. I listened to some of it.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was okay. Method Man was talking about his heyday where he had like crack rocks in his like sock A or something like that.
Oh, that's quite a lot.
He had a sick rhyme. Like I obviously just butchered it now because I'm not as good of a rapper as Method Man yet. But yeah, they got a video out.
But he's in a series coming out on HBO. I think.
Yeah, The Deuce.
Is that what it
It's
is?
a good show.
It looks really good.
I saw 4 episodes of it the other day.
Oh, you did? Oh, it's it.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like the pilot.
Yeah, I saw the pilot and 3 other episodes. It's about like the adult film industry resurgence in like the 70s. I think.
70s or 80s, yeah.
It's actually pretty cool. Method Man plays a pimp, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that was what it was. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Who's the other man? Is it what's his name? Who's that handsome devil?
James Franco.
Yeah, James Franco.
James Franco plays twins. He plays a pair of twins. It's actually really good.
So he has 2 characters.
Yeah.
Oh
It's actually
man,
really good.
that's always cool when it
And
actually.
then Maggie Gyllenhaal's in it. I think that's her name, right? She
Jake Gyllenhaal's sister.
Yeah.
I
I think
didn't
it's
know
a sister. It might be his cousin or something like that. But she's in it. And,
She's good. Jake
awesome.
Gyllenhaal's an amazing actor. I don't know.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good. I never liked Maggie Gyllenhaal as much for some reason. I just don't really get what the whole hype is about her. But I guess she's actually a pretty good actress in that show.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like plus that show's got a couple of those other like vulnerable or venerable, however you say that word, like HBO cats. Like the dude that played Slim Charles in The Wire plays like a guy.
Yeah, I saw a lot of crossover guys. Yeah, there's a lot of crossover actors. Enough though, where I was like, this is a good. Good cast.
It was a good cast, man. I mean,
But the story's good?
Yeah, so like these, basically it follows the lives of these characters that intertwinedly interact. Like James Franco plays like a bar owner, and then his twin brother's like a degenerate gambler. There's some like mob cats in it. There's some like Irish mob cats in it, and then like Maggie Gyllenhaal plays an independent prostitute, whereas like Method Man plays a pimp, and there's like a few other pimps. Actually, some pretty like violent pimp scenes. And then there's like some hilarious pimp outfits from the 70s. Like I'm talking about like, well, this one dude had like a pinstriped romper jumpsuit with a belt and a cane and a matching hat, which to me is like probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen a human being wear in my entire life.
You gotta be a pimp to wear it.
Yeah, I ordered one on Amazon.
Oh, please wear it for this podcast.
I'll have it on at some point. But you know your boy GB's got to stay. Got to stay caning with the ladies.
Caning with the ladies.
I don't know what that means, Mom. But yeah, please don't bring this up at Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I know you've seen those shows before on HBO. If you've seen The Wire or like Oz, like a lot of them shows have like crossover characters.
Yeah.
Ian, do you watch any of them?
Oz and The Wire?
Yeah.
Dude, The Wire is probably the best series over The Sopranos in my mind.
Really?
I thought The Wire was amazing. Oz was that followed The Wire, right? It was right after. That was in the beginning days of all these series coming out.
Was the first one.
But man, The Wire was
The
unbelievable.
Wire and Sopranos to me are neck and neck. It really just depends on what you're into. Because if you're like the Sopranos went deep into that one niche.
Yeah.
The Wire was able to cover like 4 or 5 different niches well, right?
That's right. I got really attached to characters in The Wire, like emotionally. I think in you know the other show I got really attached to characters in was Sons of Anarchy.
I loved that show, dude. That was a great show. Jax and OP and all them guys.
Spoiler alert, Opie, that like
Spoiler alert, everybody dies.
yeah, spoiler alert, yeah, exactly, everybody dies.
Spoiler alert, it's based on Hamlet and everybody dies.
Man, I was like, I don't well up in any movies. I was like, when that scene with Opie, I was like, oh man.
Oh yeah, they beat the fuck out of him.
Oh, just the way it went down, I was like, this
yeah.
show is unreal.
Yo, so I started watching Sons of Anarchy when I was like in college, and for like I know you might not know this, but I went to college for like 45 minutes, and but back then I was like
How'd you
drinking
do?
every day. I did really shitty. That's why I only went
Oh,
45.
okay.
But like I had a real bad drinking problem. So like the first 2 seasons of Sons of Anarchy, like literally are a blur. Like I had double vision while I was watching the first 2 seasons, including the one where Opie dies. So like I remember like passing it, like being half asleep on my couch watching that episode while it was happening, and like yeah, they fucking killed.
So you weren't as emotionally attached at that moment as I was.
No.
So you need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, didn't they smash his head in with like
The pipe, man.
Yeah.
And he stepped in for Jax.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That was a gangster scene.
Man, yeah, that was a heartbreak. Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
exactly. What that actually, dude, I keep looking at you, and I'm so mad at myself right now. Today's the first day since you bought me my lovely pair of magical glasses that I effing forgot them. There's no reason not to say fuck, right?
Yeah, you can swear here.
You can fuck off here. So, but I didn't wear them, so I don't have my power like normal. But I will make sure for the next video that I have them.
Dude, I gotta keep them on. So just so you know, so these glasses block out blue light. Like me and Ian both sit in an office all day with like all this artificial light, and after like 4 or 5 hours of staring at 3 computer screens at once, like your eyes start to hurt. So these glasses stop all that stuff from happening, which is pretty cool. And Ian forgot his.
I forgot I've literally worn them every day. I wear them at home when I'm on my computer. I love them. And then the other thing I've been doing since follow-up, I have not had a warm shower since last time I told you I didn't have a warm shower. And I love
shower crew.
I love it, dude. I love it, man. I just don't see the upside to a warm shower.
Well, what are the benefits you're getting from taking cold showers?
So the one thing which I thought was bullshit, because I thought fat loss, definitely appears to mobilize like stubborn, beta 2 receptor fat deposits.
Yeah. Could you speak English, bro?
So I am definitely not a lab guy. I just know enough it's dangerous, but not to apply it. So the
stubborn lunch money taken around here talking like
that's
that.
right. The estrogenic fat that's tough on people, typically after like a use of like steroids or something, your PCT cycles, if you don't do it correctly, you get these patterns pretty bad, which is like lower stomach on males or chest fat and so forth. But like those are the hardest ones to mobilize when you get lean enough. And you can do like sprints or you can do like high intensity working out. But there's been at least a visual difference from this, and supposedly it's supposed to have an effect on it. I thought it was bullshit because I never believe a lot of that stuff because it's very diet based. But so anyways, that's one of the benefits. My skin feels softer. You know, it's good.
You do have really soft skin.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't know, just the endorphin rush when you get in there. I've also been implementing the breathing techniques before I go in.
Are you Wim Hof in it?
I'm Wim Hof before I go in.
Man.
And it is significantly easier. Like it's you still take the rush, but like your body's in a different state when it takes that hit of the cold, and makes it a lot easier. And I feel more juiced when I come out of there.
Nice.
I don't like what is it, the carbon dioxide it stores up, or
Yeah.
whatever it is goes in there. I don't ask Wim Hof.
Yeah, ask the Hoffer.
Ask the Hof.
We gotta get an affiliate link.
Oh man, we gotta get him on. He'd probably show up. He's the kind of guy that would just roll in with no shoes
Yeah, he would.
and just do a
He
podcast,
probably would.
and then he's crazy.
This is
to
a
listen to.
mind cast, though, not a podcast.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I just made that up just now.
Mindcast.
We
Well,
can call it a podcast.
all right, so let's go into the Mindcast, which was me and George and I were talking earlier. I thought about this.
No, we weren't, dude. What are you, a cop, bro?
Yo,
Anyway, what were we talking
no
about?
badge here, narc. So we were both came up in a different kind of life, but we were blamed for equal things in different ways. And one of those things was us being, I was always told I'm lazy. And I always knew in the back of my head, I was like, wait a minute, I work hard, I want stuff, but like, why am I being interpreted as lazy? And one of those, is that the Bloomberg crew?
I don't know. I think that's Tuan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Robert, can you chop this little bit out?
Bloomberg crew rolling through.
Yeah.
So, but the laziness factor is very interesting because if you notice a lot of guys in business right now, this should be for the 15-minute video, the laziness is not interpreted correctly. There is, I don't want something and I'm not driven, and then there's lazy. And I think they're two different things because typically an undriven person or unfocused person will also be lazy. But I also blame somebody that is highly driven but doesn't work smart as just as much of a negligent person to their business life as somebody who is lazy and doesn't work hard. Now that was very confusing to say.
Well, I mean, what are we talking about here? Because like
efficient thinking.
Right. So flipping that back, like when I typically think of a lazy person, what I'm thinking about is somebody that like may or may not have a job at like CVS or Walmart and like skips work once every 2 weeks to like drink all day. But I think what you're talking about is being fucking so dialed in on working smart that it's like you're unconsciously competent at it. And therefore the result of it is that you're constantly using the 80-20 principle, which is like, 20% of the work produces 80% of the results. You're so dialed in on that on an instinctual level that you're looking to give everything the smallest possible stimulus to achieve the greatest possible result. And in your head, growing up, people were calling you lazy because you weren't doing the maximum amount of work required, which is what the public education system tries to get you to be okay with, or at least tries to get you to do. Is that?
That is the absolute best way to say it, without fail. Because you said it earlier, it was, what would the teacher say to you? You'd be like, well, I got an A, right? And they'd be like, yeah, but we want more. And you're like, why the fuck would I give you more?
Yeah, it's like, I want to leave. Like, I was, like, dude, in school, man, like, I was always the first one done the task. It was always...
Me too.
Yeah.
Me
like,
too.
Like, light years ahead of everybody else. I'm like, why the fuck is there, like, it's a test. Like, there's a game to, like, a multiple choice test, right? Like, you eliminate a couple options and you make the best educated guess you can with the remaining ones, right? Or like there's a variety of that depending on the subject, but I mean, dude, taking tests ain't all that, right? Like they used to say when I was in English class when I was a kid, it would be like, we need at least 3 sentences and here's the question. So I would write the answer in 3 sentences and my teacher would be like, yeah, I mean, I would have loved this if you had written 5 to 8 sentences. It was like, well, why didn't you tell me you wanted 5 to 8 sentences? You said at least 3. I answered your question in 3. Like
I win.
Yeah.
Like I did it the best.
Yeah, right.
Like, not the guy who wrote 8.
Yeah. It's like, don't change the system after I'm done playing it, right? Like, but to go back to your lazy versus hardworking or example, so to speak, is I think that you and I are also very consumed with and used to talking about business owners or people that or people that nearly fall into a business owner category. Like maybe if there's an organization like the top 3 operators, I think if there's a large organization, technically there's always one person at the top, right? But then again, there's almost always one another couple high-end operators that like really are pretty entrepreneurial, even though they might not own the whole thing.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So like a quote-unquote lazy salesperson, by your definition of lazy, giving the minimal stimulus for the maximum result, creates a whole different person than if it's a business owner. So like a lot of business owners that are quote-unquote lazy, I mean, honestly, Ian, I see a lot of the cats as self-employed. They're not really business owners.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them get caught up in not hiring people or not growing because they're afraid of like whether it's letting go of the vine or they're like afraid of giving it more like, does that make sense?
So those people I think are totally susceptible to the opposite end of the conversation here, which is they find there's a badge of honor in working hard and putting in hours, and they want to tell you at the end of the day they're running a business and they clock 20 hours. But you're like, well, what'd you get done? Well, I did all this data inputting.
Oh, I worked 100 hours this week.
Yeah, I'm like, you gotta flip that switch.
That sucks. Yeah,
it sounds fucking awful.
I mean, dude, man, I've worked 100 hours in a week, man, and it sucks.
Right.
I fucking did it. I'll end up doing it again someday. But I have to say, man, like delegating what you're bad at to people that are good at it and like it, like inputting data. Like, dude, I put off putting a new employee's data into my computer for like 3 days. I put off like important stuff, like things that'll take me 2.5 minutes, or days, or even sometimes weeks, because it just feels so painful for me to do it. Like I have an obligation to hire someone to do that shit for me. And look how much more stuff gets up. Ian, I hope no one on my team listens to this, because I might have barely worked 15 hours.
Dude,
Barely.
Dude, when an entrepreneur making money says that to me, and they're getting it done, that is a person I listen to because they're fucking efficient with their mind. Like your mind, and the way I think all day long, when I have a goal, literally it's whether I have to go take a piss or whether I have to make this deal work, I am always thinking in the mindset of the least amount of effort to get this done.
Right.
Not a single bit more. And that's just how my whole life operates.
So, important note there, least amount of your
My effort, yes.
Right.
My time.
Because sometimes with like, so I got this friend who I don't want to say his name. He's like one of the smartest people I know, probably top 10 smartest people I know, and which says a lot. I know some smart people now, which I'm very proud of. But this dude's like caught up in noticing what's wrong with his employees, and he keeps firing his whole team. So what happens is like he'll be that guy who you just talked about, working 80 hours a week, and he's making 4 or 5, maybe 600 grand a year. He's making a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like that if I only make 50K a month, like that's a bad month for me right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like a really bad month, and like the reason that is because I switched my mindset from being a marketer to being a team builder, right? And like when you make that switch, like you can make $1 million a year. I think that like that's a big switch for a lot of people, because as business owners, a lot of us got into this game because they wanted more control. They're certainty driven, they're control driven, and they want to have control of their job. And those people that are genetically predisposed to be self-employed, or maybe not genetically, but like the people that were raised.
Their personalities.
Yeah, I mean, you know the type, right? Like
it's a very common grind for people.
Right, like a real estate agent that makes 400 or 500K, technically owns his own business, but like can't stop going on listing appointments. Like that person's self-employed; they're not a business. They might be making $400,000 a year, but what happens if they want to go on vacation for 2 weeks and really not pick up their phone? Like I am going on vacation. Well, it's not vacation, but I'm going on like a seminar spree for a couple of weeks, like here this October, and like business is going to be fine without me. In fact, it'll probably do better.
Right.
It's that.
I've noticed that a lot too. Like a lot of times, and this took a while for me. This is one of those things that I always talk about with you, that you've made connections that took me years to make in very short periods of time. But like, and it takes a lot of ability to identify it, putting your ego aside in your own business.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
the hardest part.
but once you do that, you realize there are a lot of areas in your own business you are in your own way of success.
Yep.
And when you get out of the way of the business, if you have the right people, the right talent, and so forth, it thrives without you.
Yep.
More so without you. And then all of a sudden you've got to realize, hey, I'm not who I thought I was in my business, and be cool with it, because your ultimate goal has to be something other than you controlling your business.
Right. Well, you want to build. You want to keep building.
I don't know.
Or you want to spend time with your family. Or
I want to make fucking money. I want to make as much as possible.
Yeah.
But make sure, how long did it go?
I gotta go at like.
There we go.
Robert, just cut out this little conversation from you. Yeah, I mean, I got another like 5-10 minutes.
All right, cool.
So,
George is feeling sick.
Yeah.
He's up to it right now. So.
don't fucking tell anybody, bro. I got an appearance to uphold in the community here. So along those lines, though, man, I think that's an important little tangent, right? Like, to me, if there's something that you do have to handle, like that's a weak point in your business, right? So, like for instance, to give you an example, one that I just corrected in mind, right? So I've been assigning salespeople to seller leads for 6 months or a year. So like we get like 15 leads in a day, for instance, and then I send each one to each individual salesperson myself, which means I got to be by my phone the whole time. So if I'm like out, if I'm recording a podcast or something like that, like the leads don't get the salespeople for 45 minutes. And besides that, like I got all these biases in my head about who gets what, and as much as I don't like to admit it, like that happens, right?
Of course.
So now they're on a round robin based upon how far away they live. So it's like an actually fair system as to who gets what, and like that was like a lot of my work duties, quote unquote, was assigning leads, and I realized how much of a weak point that was, because I want to go to a seminar and be fucking laser focused into something for 3 hours. So I can't. I have to have my phone on vibrate so that I can send leads out. So it was always that it was like this. I was like handcuffed to my phone as a result. So like step one is making it so you can run the business from your phone or a laptop. Step two is making it so you can run your business from a 5-minute phone call in the morning and everyone letting you know what the numbers are.
So that's and as you listen to this, George and I both run businesses, and like George just said, he's like, I identified something in my business. We talk like we're perfect at what we do, but we're not perfect at what we do. So
well, speak for yourself, Ian.
Yeah, I'll speak for myself. I certainly have my I have areas of my business too that I know I've been lazy about, actual lazy, not efficient lazy. I've been stupid lazy about not taking myself out of them.
Yeah, you do all your own underwriting.
Yeah, well, that can never.
I know.
I don't know about that one.
That's a
Integrity of other people's money makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah,
well, you could be right, George.
Well,
I'm not expanding my mind there.
So like, if you really think about it and you really get honest with yourself, like the instincts that you have and the way that you make a decision is a system. It is an algorithm in your head.
That's right.
And your guttural instincts that pop up when you're looking at something, and even though it fits your normal criteria, and you either say yes or no, like that's part of your algorithm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like for instance, like comping deals, I used to comp every single appointment that my sales team would go on. I looked at it and I said, "This is what we can sell it for. This is what we should offer." Like, and I was thinking like, "Oh, I got all this information in my head and all this experience," and I was like, "Why don't I just make a video of me doing this?" And I said, okay, there's train tracks here. This is what train tracks mean. This is what a different township means. This is what different zip codes mean. This is what comping and like there's a system and an algorithm. So if you really get honest about it and you make a flow chart, like theoretically, you can hand that flow. Now, how your business gets affected by this is no one knows until it happens. But theoretically, you should be able to take that flow chart and hand it to a competent assistant, and if they make the same decision that you would 4 out of 5 times, they're a good assistant.
So I had a good thing against that up until that last comment. And you're right. So the litmus test is them nailing the same thing as you. And I relate
4 out of 5 times is the number.
I relate exactly what you're saying to me, because everything you're going to say is an algorithm in your head. There's a data set. There's all these things, but there's something that I don't know how it can be measured. And I think of the stock market, the charts I trade, I was like, I could open up those charts right now to you, and I could teach you and show you. But the reality is there's something, my guy that helped me with things was, there was nothing that my mind had to make certain connections.
You can't ever,
even though he could show me a video, and it didn't matter. So my mind had to make those connections. But the moment we knew that things clicked for me was basically that moment. We'll call it the 4 out of 5 time moment, which is really interesting, which is at the same time that I was taking the right trade or the right moment in the market 4 out of 5 times to what he was, he would know at that moment the connections have been made.
Yep.
So it's the same concept as underwriting, same concept as what you're doing.
Because like honestly, man, after 80 or 90% congruency, I really think that a lot of that conversation is more about opinion than it is fact.
And you're also susceptible to your own mistake in 10%.
Exactly.
So
backing that up a little bit, I mean, the real question is like, what's your outcome? Part of what your outcome is like, what do you like doing in your business? Like, do you like comping deals? And like, whether you're gonna fund them? Because if that's the case, then don't ever stop doing that.
That's a good question.
Like me, I got tired of comping deals. Like, I don't like anything that's really repetitive or that I feel is administrative. So like comping deals, like sometimes I sleep until 9:30 or 10. I do, right? It's just the way my brain works, and sometimes I'm up until 2 or 3 in the morning, like writing and brainstorming business ideas. So, if I'm comping my sales team's deals, like that has to be done by like 8 or 9 a.m. So I got to wake up at 7, and I'm comping deals in the morning or late at night. And like, if I want to like spend some time with the girl or my cat or something like that, right, or my family, like, I can't do that because I'm comping deals. So like, is the real question is not can somebody else do this? Is this something that I want to be doing in my business? Because at some point, it's not necessarily always about is this something that I want to be doing, but it's like should somebody be doing it or can somebody be doing it? Like, I know a lot of your stuff is outsourced now, but like, do you like doing that? And you might. Right?
That's a good question. I don't. So I just automatically do it. I don't think I've really put an emotion to it. But the thing what you just said about. So the problem that I think sticks with me is that you've assessed the fact that you want to be able to control your time, on your time.
Yeah. What
you just said to me is from 7 to 9 a.m. if you're trapped in that moment, you don't have control of that time.
Right. I'm an artist, right?
Yeah.
Like being part of being a marketer is being an artist, which is a recent realization. And
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And sometimes that creativity is coming, and if I'm doing menial tasks, I'm pushing the creativity away. Like what I want to be doing is I want to be stimulating myself to come up with ideas. In which case, I make $10,000 per second. Right. That's where I want to be. That's what helps my team the most. That's what I'm best at. Right. So if I'm comping deals, not only am I definitely not doing that, but I'm not doing anything that stimulates it. Like things that stimulate creativity, working out, eating right, like having a clear frame of mind, like
Running,
driving,
yeah.
right. So like just because like I walk probably 3 or 4 miles a day, and that's intentional. Not only because I like to walk, but like it gets my mind flowing.
You get in that flow state.
Yeah, and I can really get clear on like what I want out of my business like longer term. Like I got the next couple months planned out pretty well. Like are there some holes and some things that need to be fixed? Like yeah, but like what about 6 months to a year from now? That's not as planned out for me, and that's really what's important. Because if I'm not the guy thinking ahead, then I shouldn't be in the position that I am, and I need to go get a job somewhere.
Yeah, I love it, man. And I was just gonna jump into something else, but I think it might be good for the next podcast, which would be flow state, which I think people underestimate that. Yeah, I think we want to wrap up here, and
But yeah, real quick though, guys, check us out on iTunes on the Middlemen. Check us out on iTunes. Hit us up on Facebook, man. Like check us out on all that shit. We got some really cool stuff coming down the road. Also, Ian's got an awesome website, hardmoneybankers.com. Right?
Yeah.
We got paoffmarket.com. So just to give you guys a little bit of information, if you guys are looking to borrow money specifically to flip a property in Maryland, D.C., Northern Virginia, Delaware, South New Jersey, or the Philadelphia area, hit up Ian. Or hit up me if you want to buy an off-market property in the Philadelphia area at paoffmarket.com. You can even borrow money from Ian to buy my shit.
Oh, the true middleman, double middleman.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let me just say, it's probably too much for the podcast, but we're running the train on money. I think that's what that means.
I just love running trains. Maybe we should cut that out.
Yeah, Robert. I don't know if you make a decision on that. But guys, use George. He's I'm so glad George is in our office. He's here in our building. He took office space here, and he brings so much atmosphere. And I've been telling people lately. I said, pay attention to George's mind through this next real estate cycle, because what you've accomplished now, and what you're going to be doing in 5 years, it's tremendous. So I think part of you knows it, and part of you embraces it. I think you also probably know that certain things are coming, and you probably have a lot of things you still are learning, but you embrace learning, you adapt immediately.
The only constant in life is change.
Yeah, and if you just embrace it, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So guys, check us out. We'll be on next week. You get some of this video.
Cool. Peace.